The Untold Adventures of Biao. Season 1. Episode 36. It was dark outside, but inside the house, it was filled with a fragrant aroma. It was a long time coming to the poor family of Mr. Gong. "It's so delicious, Dad." "Shall we start now?" "Wait. We have a guest today." Thanks to the money Biao took from the toad, they had a hearty meal with many delicious dishes. Although it was just the simple dishes, for a poor family that ate only vegetables all year round, this was a hearty meal. The meal was ready already, but Mr. Gong still just sat and waited without starting. Biao craved. "Dad, let's eat now while it's still hot." "I'm so hungry." "Not yet. Be patient." When Mr. Gong just finished speaking when there was a knock at the door. "Are there someone really come?" "How do you know that?" "It's the spirit summoning ability. You should learn this ability too." "Listen to Mr. Gong said." Biao understood. It turned out that his father used telepathy to know someone was coming. Biao got up to open the door when suddenly a long stick poked in. "Who is that? Why do you disturb people while they are eating?" An old man's voice rang out. "Hello. I sense the smell of tasty food, so I came." Biao saw the blind old Lu holding his stick as he spoke and entered the house. Blind old Lu, besides reading fortune-telling, also had a business. He came to their house must be for a reason. Old Lu said he didn't come here for a free meal, so Biao could rest assured. Then Biao pulled out a chair and invited him to sit. Biao was still quite vague about old Lu appearing at this time. But Mr. Gong didn't seem surprised, as if he had predicted blind old Lu would appear. But Mr. Gong did not ask what the reason was. He invited blind old Lu to have dinner with them. Mr. Gong took out a bottle of white wine and invited blind old Lu to drink. He was pouring wine while chatting socially. Biao saw that the two of them didn't discuss important things at all, just talked about everyday matters, so he didn't know what to do but focus on eating. Blind old Lu was also not hesitant. He had dinner and drank with Mr. Gong, did not forget to praise the good wine. For a while, blind old Lu put the glass down on the table, his voice serious. "Let's have a talk first. Otherwise, I won't be able to discuss when I'm drunk. I came here today to discuss a business with you." Apparently, blind old Lu wouldn't come for no reason. He came to their house because of a business. Moreover, except for Mr. Gong and Biao, no one could help him with this business. Blind old Lu started about a butcher in the market, near his place. This person was about 30 years old and his name was Khan. He often slaughters cows and goats to sell. He was a hard-working person. Khan was a rude person and not good at communication. Even in business, he didn't use fancy words at all. Khan only focused on cutting meat all day, so he was still unmarried after 30. After finishing selling goods at the market, he cleaned up and went home. At a healthy age, but living alone was really uncomfortable. Every night he relied on wine to forget his sorrow. But the more he drank, the more painful it became. Actually, Khan once had a beautiful wife. They lived together very happily. But not long after, the wife became crazy. The wife always muttered that there was a demon in the house with a big skull. She always said that the demon wanted to eat her. Sometimes she screamed loudly, sometimes she squealed, and then she couldn't take care of herself anymore. After a tiring day of working, Khan still had to take care of his wife. At night he only hoped to sleep peacefully, but it's not. Every night, there would be something that happened. Every night the wife screamed loudly because of seeing a very large black shadow at the head of the bed with a disgusting face and red eyes. It kept staring at her and wanted to eat her alive. Finally, after a long time of being tired from work but couldn't sleep, Khan called his mother-in-law to take his wife home to take care of her. Neighbors often heard the wife's screams from day to night, so it was rumored that Khan beat his wife. So no girl dared to approach him. That's why he couldn't go for another step. Whenever he was sad, he drank wine. On the other hand, he didn't believe there were ghosts in his house. But about a month before, his business was not going well at all. There were fewer and fewer customers. So Khan drank even more. One night as he was about to go to bed, he heard the window creaking like someone scratched the glass. He turned his head to look out the window and was dumbfounded because there was a huge shadow with a white skull, red eyes like what his wife used to say. That skull demon looked directly at Khan, with its mouth wide open. There were many hands on the body and constantly scratched the window, making scary sounds. Khan dared not move. The demon looked at him for a moment and then disappeared into the night. After the demon was gone, Khan trembling went to find the knife in the kitchen, then opened the door to look outside. But the surroundings were quiet as if nothing happened. As long as he did not see anything unusual, he was also more rest assured. He suddenly remembered the words of the crazy wife before. But then again, he thought that he had hallucinations because of drinking too much and the words his wife said before. He calmly went to bed. But due to something like that happened, he could not be able to sleep. It was midnight and he was still tossing and turning, unable to sleep. At that moment, he heard voices outside. The sound was not loud, but due to the quiet night, it was very clear. The sound was coming from outside the window of the house. He listened for a while and did not dare to go out, just quietly listening to the sound coming from the wooden barrel next to the window. When there was no more noise, Khan dared to open the door to see. At this moment, he panicked when seeing the wooden barrel filled with fresh blood of goats and cows that he killed last night was clean. He thought maybe it was the blood-drinking demon of legend. He was shivering and sweating profusely. Since then, he discovered that on every full moon, the blood tank outside the door would be empty. He thought that the demon was only drinking blood and had no intention of harming him, so he was no longer as nervous as before. Until a few days ago, while he was sleeping soundly, he was awakened by a strange noise on the ceiling. He opened his eyes and see the skull demon, somehow entering the house, crawling on the ceiling and staring at him. Khan was too afraid to move. The demon rushed towards him, startling him to shout. The demon crawled next to Khan, face to face with him. Its stench and disgusting appearance terrified Khan. The red-eyed skull demon stared at Khan for a long time, then turned and crawled up to the ceiling. Maybe it didn't intend to harm Khan. When the demon left, Khan dared to shout. Khan's screams woke up the neighbors. It was said that after his wife went mad, it was his turn. His house turned into a haunted house. Since then, people stayed away from him and the house, making his business worse and his life more difficult. Khan had no other choice, so he listened to what people told him, went to blind old Lu to ask for catching demons. He wished to return to normal life. Blind old Lu earned for a living by catching demons. After hearing the story, he agreed with Khan immediately. But after that, he went to find Mr. Gong for help. After finishing, blind old Lu lowered his voice. "My eyes are also blind, unable to do anything. So I came here to find you for help.